Good evening. Tonight we'll review the major elements of APA style that you must follow in your term paper. APA style is shorthand for the Publication Manual of the American Psychological Association, and it's commonly called APA style. The manual presents a set of editorial rules and guidelines that UMB students should observe to ensure clear and consistent presentation of their written materials. APA style addresses the uniform use of such elements as writing style, grammar, punctuation, presentation of tables and statistical data, use of headings, abbreviation, and capitalization, citation of references, and the format of papers. APA style is known especially for its citation of references. It is essential for UMBC students to properly cite all sources used in the preparation of a paper or project. A formal citation format offers the reader a clear and unambiguous trail to the original source, and it accords proper credit for the intellectual property of others. The APA style originated in 1929 when a group of psychologists, anthropologists, and business managers convened and sought to establish a simple set of procedures or style rules that would codify the many components of scientific writing to increase the ease of reading comprehension. As with other editorial styles, APA style consists of rules or guidelines that a publisher observes to ensure clear and consistent presentation of written material. Today, much of the scientific writing and publishing uses the standards of the APA. Every undergraduate has gone through one or more courses about it, and every student pursuing a career in research has to know how to use APA style. So in summary, the APA Publication Manual has been published since 1929 and is currently in its 6th edition. The APA Manual presents rules for the presentation of academic documents, and the goal of the APA style is to organize your paper in a standard format that is clear and easy to follow. And secondly, and just as importantly, to give proper citation to people whose work you've used in your paper or referenced in your paper. One of the purposes of the APA style is to make the paper easy to read. The following elements will help to accomplish that. Print on one side only of the pages on your document. Double space. Use 1-inch margins. The word default is 1.25, so be warned and make sure that you adjust your margin settings in Word. And use 12-point font for all text. Each paper should have a title or cover page. All entries on the title page should be centered on the left-right axis and in the top half of the page. The entries should be double-spaced. The title should be no longer than 12 words. The title page should have your name, your course name or your institution, and the date of submission. So your term paper should have a title page. Include the title of your paper, your name as author, your university affiliation or your course number and date. And your paper should have a running heading that is a short title on all the pages in the paper. And you can set that in Word very easily. Divide your paper into the sections indicated on the assignment guideline. Use section headers to divide the paper into these sections. Do not use bold for a section header. First level section header should be centered, and you should capitalize the first letter of each major word. Example of a first level: the impact of culture on global virtual teams. For second level headings, they should be flush left, italicized, and again you should capitalize the first letter of each major word. Example of a second level: Hofstede's cultural model. You won't need more than 2 levels in your term paper. One of the important sections in your paper is going to be known as the reference section, and that's where you list the books and articles you used in your critique. Each work cited will have the following format, indicated in red on the PowerPoint slide here. So let's take a look at it. Every line after the author name in a reference on a particular article is indented, and that's the hanging paragraph format in Word. So you can see Hayek is flush left, but after we roll over to the next line, there's a indentation to the right, the hanging paragraph format. The sections in your reference for a particular article include the author's name, the date, the title, in this case the use of knowledge in society, the journal for an article or the publisher for a book. And you can see that in this case we have the American Economic Review, and that's going to be in volume 35, issue 4, and it was on pages 519 to 530 for that particular volume. Looking at the first part of the reference, the name is in a specific format. It's last name, first initial. If you have more than one author, then you'll have last name, first initial, comma, and you'll continue with the other authors. When you hit the last author, you'll use an ampersand, and then you'll have the last author's name. Just remember that the references in the body of your paper give appropriate credit to the person or persons whose words or ideas you are using to support what you have written in your paper. If you don't give credit to those whose works you cite or use, you're guilty of plagiarism, which is a violation of academic integrity. In addition to having a reference section, you should cite in the text the author whose idea you're using as well. So in the body of your paper, when you use an idea or you have a direct quote from an author, cite the work in abbreviated format. The complete citation is in the reference section. In the body of your paper, only use the last name of the author and the year of publication. So, for example, if in the body of your paper you have the following sentence: Marxism, neoclassical, and Keynesian economics incorrectly assume central planners have all requisite knowledge. You would have a citation. In this case, it would be Hayek, so you'd have parentheses. This is for a parenthetical citation. You'd have Hayek, comma, 1945. Now, some people prefer to use a different writing style, and they'll use the author they're referencing for a knowledge or an idea or a quote, or just as an authority to lend weight to their paper. They'll name them as part of the narrative rather than as a parenthetical citation. So if the author name appears as part of the narrative, then you'd use the following format: Hayek, 1945, critiqued Marxism, neoclassical, and Keynesian economics for their unrealistic assumption that central planners had all requisite knowledge. So if the work you're citing has 2 or more authors, always cite all names in the first reference in the body of your paper. Then you can use the format of the major author, which is the first author listed in the paper, and then et al. For the other contributing authors. In parenthetical material, join the names together with an ampersand. So we take an example that we might have in our text. Organizations are adopting new forms of decentralization to cope with the instability, uncertainty, and pace of change in the marketplace. Parens, Cohen, Tyler, ampersand, Parker, comma, 1997. On the other hand, if we choose the other style where we name the authors as part of our narrative text, then we join the names together with the word and instead of ampersand. Here's an example of that. Cohen, Tyler, and Parker, 1997, assert that because of distributed knowledge, organizations are adopting network structures where employees of undifferentiated rank will operate on a certain task or tasks in teams. You should be sure to cite material when you're making quotes of an author for assertions that might be challenged, when you're paraphrasing material from another author, and when you want to add an authoritative opinion to your paper. So again, the purpose of the APA style is to give your paper a standard organization so it's clear to the readers, they know what to expect, and it's well organized and it's visually easy to follow. And you also want to give proper citation to the works you use to prepare your paper. Thank you. And this concludes our review of the APA guidelines you'll be using for your term paper.